Oh boy, is the world ever going to be in trouble soon and going to be in for a big shock. Probably not going to be a big shock for the majority of my audience, but like myself and many people have been saying since 2020, the whole COVID thing was kind of a trial run to what's really coming. As I mentioned on a community post a little while ago, coming up is a very important vote at the United Nations run organization called the WHO, the WHO, which is a part of the UN. Those, a very global authoritarian organization with a lot of ties to very influential, powerful people, unelected bureaucrats and organizations that we don't want in our lives, which are trying to take over nation sovereignties and erode our freedoms and all sorts of other things. So we know all this is going on. All of the so-called conspiracy theories the last 2 years becoming true one after another after another. They're no longer conspiracy theories and they're no longer even conspiracies at all because it's all out in the open now for people to see. Everything keeps coming true. And what have we got coming up? We have a vote for a new global pandemic treaty. The WHO wants control of your country. Not just my country, but 190 or 194 countries to be exact. And all the Western free nations, Canada, USA, UK, Australia, you name it, you know it's coming.
The World Health Organization meets on May 22, and on the agenda is a potential pandemic treaty which would allow WHO to direct countries in how they control pandemics. Would you consider signing up to that and handing over any controls to the organisation?
I have always been supportive right from the outset and was criticised heavily, I stress, heavily, mocked in fact by the Labor Party for saying the WHO should have those powers and those authorities to be able to go and deal with pandemic situations. Because
if this gets signed, say goodbye to national sovereignty whenever the WHO decides to declare a pandemic. Whether real or not, whether dangerous or not, whether it's man-made, whether it's a natural virus, doesn't matter. All they have to do is declare a pandemic, and they can order a nation to follow their governance. So your prime minister, your president, doesn't matter. They're not going to have a say anymore. If this goes through, the WHO will be able to, it says right in the regulations on the treaty, they will be able to mandate that countries enforce lockdowns, quarantines, forcible removals, forced testing, forced vaccine passports. The list goes on and on. What we just went through the last 2 years, as a lot of us have been saying, was just the beginning. It was just to get us accustomed to this. And what's coming next is going to be much worse. If you somehow are living in a cave, or you only get your information from CNN, or you sit in front of the television news and think you're actually being informed of what's going on in the world, if that's you, wake the heck up. Start looking around. Start doing some research. It's not hidden. It's not a conspiracy. It's out in the open.
Anyone remember voting for the World Health Organization to take control of our lives? No, me neither. And yet here we are, teetering on the brink of joining most of the countries of the world in surrendering our national sovereignty under the terms of a proposed new pandemic treaty. Once British ink is dry on the necessary paperwork, we and most of the rest of the billions living on planet Earth will, in the event of another pandemic, take our instructions not from politicians we actually voted for and could, hypothetically at least, have the option of getting rid of, but from the unelected, faceless bureaucrats of the WHO. This is no conspiracy theory, by the way. No tin hats required. This is real and happening now. And a whole lot of people would rather you weren't paying attention. The WHO is a fabulously wealthy offshoot of the United Nations. It has its head office in Geneva and is presently headed by Ethiopian-born Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus. Know much about him? No, nor me. He and it are funded by 194 member states and also by donations from private entities. As things stand, most of its money comes from the United States of America, from communist China, and from computer salesman and international man of mystery Bill Gates. Let us remember that for the past 2 years, the WHO has loudly celebrated the approach taken by China to the handling of COVID-19. Even now, as tens or perhaps hundreds of millions of Chinese citizens remain locked in their homes in scores of cities across that country, and after unknown numbers have died in those circumstances, including some who committed suicide by leaping to their deaths from their tower block imprisonment, the WHO continues to applaud the tactics of the Chinese Communist Party that is its benefactor. For his own part, Bill Gates, who struggles even to control viruses in the software sold by Microsoft, is on record admiring the draconian approach taken by Australia, to the extent that he has said that, in his opinion, the world would have had greater success in eliminating the disease, the one that more than likely leaked from a lab in China, if only more nations had followed the Australian model, locked everyone down and sought zero COVID. Now we in Great Britain, without so much as a by your leave from our leaders, and along with around 95% of the world's population, must contemplate a future in which decisions about what we will be ordered to do in the face of another pandemic will be taken by the unelected, unaccountable bureaucrats of the Chinese Communist Party worshipping WHO under the unseemly influence of a tech billionaire with no more qualifications in the fields of medicine and disease control than I have.
We have big pharmaceutical companies like Pfizer, you name it, all in bed with the WEF, the World Economic Forum, who's pushing for all sorts of change. They want to get rid of capitalism, they want to get rid of cash, they want a digital controlled society. We all know that's going on, and they're trying to use COVID as the excuse to push this stuff in. Now, they're on board with all of this as well. In fact, the Pfizer CEO made a nice little speech at the WEF just recently, talking about new microchips in pills. Okay, yet another conspiracy coming true.
It is basically biological chip that it is in the tablet, and once you take the tablet and dissolves into your stomach, sends a signal that you took the tablet. So imagine the applications of that, compliance, the insurance companies to know that the medicines that patients should take, they do take them. It is fascinating what happens in this field.
Imagine the compliance, he says, if we're all forced to take these pills and they can track whether we took them or not. Oh, wonderful. What a wonderful future. Oh yeah, that's just going to be great. Get out there on social media, get out there all over the internet, start spreading the information. It's widely available. Just look up the hashtag #StopTheTreaty. Wake your friends and family up, because the last 2 years is going to seem like nothing if this goes through.